It's official. Number one, Kansas City's the best team in the league, maybe by a lot. Number two, they're easily the most resourceful team in the league. Everybody has injuries. Doesn't affect them at all. And number three, Andy Reid is separated from even the other good coaches. Kyle Shanahan's special teams, annual embarrassment. Kyle Shanahan's red zone offense, totally dependent, it appears, on Christian McCaffrey. Shanahan's a very good coach. But in high-leverage situations, he doesn't have the adaptability, the ingenuity of Andy Reid. Kyle Shanahan has a very good system that's excellent with Christian McCaffrey. You take out that player, a running back, and even when their backup running back is good, it's not the same team. Andy Reid, hey, let's put Carson Wentz in the backfield with Mahomes. That'll get him. Again, both teams were missing a star running back. Both teams were missing a collection of receivers. Neither quarterback played their best game ever. Offensive lines for both Kansas City and 49ers, okay. But in every single high-leverage situation, Mahomes in Kansas City up here, Purdy, Shanahan down there. Now, you could say to yourself, Colin, come on, don't be naive. This is all Mahomes. Okay, let's say it is. That's even worse news for San Francisco. You going to give the bag to Brock Purdy? Brock Purdy, let's please contextualize. Good quarterback. But when he's missing pieces, the red zone offense, meh. You know, his two big completions, both underthrown. Thankfully, Tom Brady called it out. This is what I've consistently said about Brock Purdy. He's a good quarterback with nice mobility. But he was just 8 for 18, missing Debo. Ayuk may be gone now. 8 for 18 on throws, just 5 yards downfield with 3 picks. That's what he was. Yes, he was missing Debo. Yeah, and Mahomes has been missing Rashee Rice. Well, Ayuk, yes, Ayuk dropped a ball and then left later. Look at what Kansas City's been doing for 3 years at wide receiver, ham and egging it. Just trying to find anybody. Juju Smith, have him, lose him. Bring him back, gets hurt. That's the story of the Chiefs for 3 years. Just trying to make it work. Bondo, Band-Aids, whatever works. So I think Brock Purdy is overwhelmingly, although I think he's got some talent, he has been the beneficiary of a good coach with a great system and a collection of Hall of Fame level George Kittle, Trent Williams, Christian McCaffrey. Take those out, and there's almost no extraordinary to Brock Purdy. Size, arm, movement, Yet in all those situations, when you remove all of those, Purdy and Mahomes are asked to do two different things. Purdy is asked in San Francisco, don't screw up. Here's the keys to the Mercedes. Don't screw up. That's what he's asked to do. Purdy is 6-8 in games in which he's just had one turnover. Mahomes is asked to carry a franchise, get rid of Tyreek Hill, move off great players, average offensive tackles. Can you be magical when we don't have all the resources we had to start the year, start the dynasty, or start the game? These are two different asks. One is the best quarterback on the planet, regardless of who's around him. One does a good job when everything's in place. And that's what I've said about this. Just contextualize. You give most quarterbacks in this league time to throw, number one receiver, excellent offensive line. They're going to look good. What Mahomes did yesterday on a game in which he didn't play that well, he just, in the highest moments, yesterday was a referendum on head coaching at the highest level, quarterbacking at the highest level, Mahomes and Purdy. You may not want to hear this, but, even on that bruising touchdown run, it's just Mahomes, off script, on script. It doesn't matter. He always makes the play.
I actually was not trying to, lower my shoulder. I was trying to, absorb the hit because I knew I was going to be right there in the end zone. And that dad bod, man, just had enough weight on me where he went down. So it wasn't like I was necessarily trying to, seek out contact. I was trying to absorb it and get in the end zone, and just ended up looking good for me.
Yeah, I've just watched this matchup too many times, and I keep seeing the same exact thing every time. Mahomes is magical in crisis. Purdy needs everything to be in place. Shanahan has a really good system. Their special teams are annually cringy. And Kansas City's more resourceful. Both these teams were missing all sorts of players. One kind of capsized, the other elevated. And that's what I've watched now 5 straight times. All right, let's talk about the second best team in the league. And I think it's pretty substantial and clear. It's Detroit. That was not an easy game. At Minnesota, Minnesota has engulfed good teams. And the Lions may never get their defense right. They've been trying for years. The minute they get it right, that horrible injury to Aidan Hutchinson. Right? But quarterback, O-line, run game, clever offensive coordinator, power, finesse, culture. There are no weaknesses to that offense. I mean, Jared Goff essentially looks like he's playing catch with his friends. In his last 3 games, Jared Goff's completing 85% of his throws with 153 passer rating. It is a video game. And remember, Minnesota's defense, especially at home with that crowd noise, is ferocious, is outstanding. He had 3 incompletions against them. C.J. Stroud, Brock Purdy, I've never seen anything like this defense. I was seeing ghosts. Jared Goff's playing catch. It almost feels like as we head into week 8, Chiefs, Lions, Super Bowl, it's kind of starting to feel inevitable. You don't have to reach for the narrative or grasp for a story. I mean, Detroit's offense in an offensive league. And here's what I also love, is that there's this collective chip on the shoulder with Detroit. I mean, Goff was cast off in L.A., get out of here. And then Dan Campbell has been mocked. And the city of Detroit for years has been a punchline. And Detroit has taken that and built this muscle car from different parts. It's got Mad Max feel to it. And they are head coach, GM, offensive line, tackles, everything. They are a kneecap biting monster. They are just the team. And Minnesota's really good. Minnesota's got a brilliant defensive coordinator. Jared Goff had 3 incompletions. So, I mean, and what I loved about this game for Detroit, Detroit trailed, on the road. And then Detroit led. And then they trailed again. And then they came back. And then they had to hold off a more than capable Sam Darnold Viking offense. It's the kind of game you see in January and February. All these routes are fun. But what you watch with Detroit and Minnesota, that feels like the NFC Championship. And you're on the road. And you trail early. And the crowd is humming. And you can't hear. And you just start running the football, and you take a lead, then you fall behind, and then you rally and take the lead again and hold on. That looked like a playoff game. I feel like with Detroit, I'm watching this sort of adolescent boy, and every couple months his voice gets deeper. He's got more confidence. Few pimples, but then he walks out one morning and mom looks up and he's 6'5", 245 and has a D1 scholarship offer to Ohio State or Michigan. They just looked the part. Power, finesse, run game, effortless completions, win leading, come back when trailing. I don't see anything about Detroit I don't like. I've just seen it for years from Kansas City. I've never seen it before from Detroit. This year was going to be an interesting year for the Lions. Instead of hunting, they were the hunted. They're fine. They're fine being the hunted. Here's Dan Campbell after.
You guys didn't bat an eye. I love this freaking team. I love the coaches. I love the players. I love everything about it, man. We are so freaking hardened. Even when it doesn't go the way we want it to, man, you find a way. That is an outstanding win. We are 1-0 in the division.
That was something else. That was, sometimes you get these in the regular season. You'll see it in the NBA. You'll get that handful of games. You're like, oh, that's a playoff game. That's a conference final. That felt like an NFC conference championship game. And Detroit goes into Minnesota with a defensive coordinator, Brian Flores, who had flummoxed everybody. And they just rattling off drive after drive. Clever, smart, physical, power. That was something. J-Mac, Detroit and Kansas City.